Thanks for staying with us. Last Friday was World Tuberculosis Day. It was a worldwide event that aimed to raise public awareness of tuberculosis and the efforts made to prevent and treat this disease. In commemorating the day, we have an infectious diseases physician, Department of Internal Medicine, LUTH, Dr. Adefolarin Opawoye, MBBS. Welcome to the show, sir.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure being here. Thank you.
So let's remind our viewers what tuberculosis is.
Okay, thank you very much. Tuberculosis is a disease which is caused by a bacteria. It's called Mycobacterium tuberculosis, and it could be a very dastardly disease actually. But the good thing is that it has a cure. You can totally be cured about it, and it's a very serious public health problem. Almost every year, more than 500,000 Nigerians are infected with this disease, and out of that, about half of that, that's almost 250,000 people die. That's a lot of deaths, and I'm so glad that we're having an opportunity to talk about this here.
Yes, so we know that every March 24th, there's usually a walk to create awareness. But what other aspects of awareness, aside from the walk, do you engage in? Do you have every hospital center have like a tuberculosis section where you can give information? Or what other things do you do aside from just the walks?
Yeah, definitely. There are so many things that we do. So different people have different organizations within the health sector have different activities for that day. The walks, like you said, are part of it. Sometimes you do seminars, you do symposiums. Sometimes you release statements on social media. We release statements on Twitter, on Instagram about this day, trying to educate people. For example, the theme of the last celebration was "The Clock is Ticking," showing that the damage to TB is unrelenting, from TB is unrelenting. And just like the way the clock is always moving, this disease is going on. Whether you are aware of it or not, it's killing people almost on a daily basis. And so we have so many activities, and this is also one of them, actually, trying to just increase the awareness on tuberculosis, how it can be diagnosed and how it can be treated, and most importantly, how it can be prevented.
You say that it kills people every day. So how would you describe, if we were to compare tuberculosis in Nigeria and Africa, and maybe, you know, we always use the developed countries, how would you say we're doing in comparison to them? That is, in how widespread the disease is, or how often people get sick, and the treatments available compared to what we have in developed countries?
That's a serious question.
Yeah.
Quite wide, actually, also. Now, for tuberculosis, it's more endemic here. It's a problem. It's a local problem. So the same way you have malaria as a problem in Nigeria, and it's not a problem in the US, it's the same way you have tuberculosis as a problem here. But you see, the advantage of that being a problem here is that it's something we are very familiar with. We're very skilled at diagnosing it. We pick it up very fast. It comes up to the forefront of our thinking many times when and present with similar symptoms. So that's the advantage. For example, if you travel outside the country, Lonart, you can pick up Lonart from almost anywhere in this country. But to get Lonart in the US, you have to really, really, really trek. And that's why a lot of Nigerians, you know, take their drugs along with them when they're traveling. You know, so we're doing quite well with the treatment because it's something we are familiar with. It's something that every medical student we trained is trained to recognize. So we pick it up quite early. And but because of the burden of disease, is far more here. So we have far more deaths. You know, and that's why I mean, for example, if you're traveling outside the country, you know, they ask you to do tests for tuberculosis and all that. We don't bother with that here because it's our problem. But they are worried about you bringing it in. So they want to check and make sure that you're not carrying what we call latent TB. That's TB that is in the system, but it has not really shown up. You know, so it's a double-edged sword.
Right.
The advantage that we have here is that it's a lot. And so we see it, we are very experienced with it. We have very good treatment pathways for it, and we have good successes, so long as people show up on time and take their medications.
Okay.
So I wanted to ask you, because it's something very preventable. Why are we not having, why is this not something like the way we're doing with polio, wiping out polio? Why can't we wipe out tuberculosis by getting everybody vaccinated?
Wipeout is difficult. I mean, in the entire human history, there's only one disease that has indeed been eradicated, and that's smallpox, which was eradicated in the 1970s. The last case was in Somalia in 1979. Before you can totally eradicate a disease, there are so many things that so many lines need to fall in place as to the fact that there's a direct organism that you can tackle. There's only one person that is carrying the disease. There's no intermediate host anywhere. It's not as if you wipe it out in man and the disease is resting in animals or something, So it's not that easy. Now, even polio, we say polio is eliminated, not eradicated, because we are still having some cases of wild type polio here and there, but very sporadic cases. So yes, there's a lot of work going on with tuberculosis, but it's more difficult. There's a vaccine for it. That's the BCG vaccine, which everybody should have had. I mean, most of us will have this scar on the left shoulder to show that we have a BCG. If you don't have it, I'll be very worried. But most of us have it. There's very good coverage. But the BCG really works better for what we call extrapulmonary tuberculosis. That's the one that affects other systems in the body. TB is a very funny disease. It can affect anywhere, though it mainly stays in the lungs, But the BCG really protects the one outside the lungs. And then it is highly contagious. You could have one case of TB in a house, and before you know it, it spreads to everybody in that house. So all these things make it quite difficult. And then, of course, it's a long disease. When we treat it, sometimes we treat for 6 months, sometimes we treat for 12 months. In those 12 months, it's very easy to jump to another person. So we are still very, very far from eliminating or even eradicating tuberculosis. But I love your vision. It's a very, very ambitious one as we try to work towards it in the health sector.
What are some of the symptoms? Because this is a country where half the time you enter the hospital, they're diagnosing you for either malaria or typhoid. So sometimes, what are the symptoms, especially parents, to look out for? And at what point you have to isolate? At what point do you think it's time to isolate a patient from the home?
Okay, thank you very much for that question. Major symptom of tuberculosis is cough. If it is pulmonary tuberculosis, like I said, it can affect the lungs. The lungs is the major organ that it affects, but it can basically affect any organ in the body, anywhere, the brain, the spine, the kidneys, anywhere. It could go anywhere. But for the lungs, usually the person coughs. And the cough of TB is a cough that lasts usually a bit long. It lasts for more than 2 weeks. So what we usually say is that if you are coughing for more than 2 weeks, we should be worried, and you have to check. Especially when with the cough, you are now losing weight, not as if you are going to the gym or you are fasting or you are trying to lose weight intentionally, we call it unintentional weight loss.
Doctor,
or you start to lose weight.
People cough daily.
Yeah,
I mean, people cough, but so what's the duration of this cough we're talking about? How long do you know that, okay, this is something I need to take to the hospital? Oh, sorry, I missed it.
2 weeks.
Yeah, 2 weeks.
Oh, sorry.
2 weeks. 2 weeks.
How
Cough of
intense?
more than 2 weeks.
Okay. How intense
And
as well?
when it is accompanied, you mentioned the intensity of cough.
Sorry, say that again, please.
If you have a cough,
Yes.
if you have I said, how do you measure the intensity of cough?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's a cough. It doesn't have to be the active cough.
That's what we see as tuberculosis.
But any kind of cough you're having more than 2 weeks, please. Because it's not only TB, but anything more than 2 weeks, you should be worried.
Yeah.
Come into the hospital. And especially, like I said, if the cough is accompanied by weight loss, unintentional weight loss, it's not like you're trying to lose weight, but you're just seeing you're losing weight, you're getting tired, you're sweating at night. I mean, these people, they sweat, sometimes the whole bed is soaked, and then you're having fevers. I mean, there are people sick around you now, then you have to be worried. I mean, this is not a normal cough, So, but you see, our people, they have cough, they go and take cough syrup, they try to suppress it. But like I said, when you have cough more than 2 weeks, anybody with cough more than 2 weeks, we usually recommend that you get to the hospital and probably get a TB test. Yeah.
So it seems to me that the one that affects the lungs, at least you have the cough to show for it. How would you know if it's TB that's affecting the brain or something else that that doesn't show as cough? He said, oh.
That's the question we'll ask our medical students when they're about to write the exams. Because it can be quite difficult, Yes, but usually you have weight loss. You have systemic symptoms. The person is losing weight unintentionally. And if it's, for example, if it's in the brain, the person may start to be a bit irrational, start doing some one-on-one, like we say to you, start getting angry anyhow, start talking on point. The neck will start getting stiff, so you tend to be like, maybe there's a problem there. If it's something in the stomach will start to get swollen. Okay, if it's the TB that are causing the intestine. So, so it has a lot of ways it can show up. But most importantly, maybe if I could say, is that the person starts feeling sick, the person loses weight. And this is not like you say the ubiquitous malaria typhoid. You have treated malaria once, twice. It is not going, it is not malaria. And it is not small malaria, small typhoid. You need to seek expert care because something sinister may be ongoing. And the challenge sometimes we have in the hospital is that our patients present too late.
So
and there's nothing anybody can do.
How do we prevent tuberculosis? Prevention.
Sorry, I didn't get that.
How do we prevent it? What are the things we need to do to avoid
prevention of tuberculosis is multifactorial. Like I told you, the BCG vaccine is one of those things we do. When we give people the vaccine, it helps, like I said, to prevent one form of tuberculosis. Another way we try to prevent it is quickly diagnosing cases. So,
We're having a bit of breakup. We can't hear you, Doctor. Dr. Opawoye, are you there?
Problem. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, I am here.
We lost you for a minute.
Probably it's the network. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you now.
Okay, am I back?
Yes, you are.
Okay, apologies for that. That's the Nigerian network. Okay, so like I was saying, that the ways to prevent TB, that's what I was talking about. I was talking about the ways we prevent tuberculosis. We start from the vaccination. We vaccinate every newborn with a BCG vaccine. It helps really good.
Right.
It's a long way. And then I also talked about quickly identifying cases and taking them out, isolating them before quickly treating those cases.
Right.
And making sure that they don't spread it to other people. If we have a better quality of life, better socioeconomic circumstances, there's no overcrowding, people are living in well-lit spaces with a lot of good ventilation. Yeah, all those are things that we can do to prevent these deadly diseases.
Right. All right.
Okay, so for those people who are not
And
vaccinated...
also, it's highly linked with HIV. Yeah.
Oh.
Go ahead.
So for those people who are not vaccinated and they are not aware that they have tuberculosis and they find out at the late end, is there any hope for them? From tuberculosis.
Did you get that?
Tuberculosis.
Dr. Opawoye, did you get that? I think we've lost him. Hello, sir.
To piece it together, if I could...
We didn't hear what you said.
Yeah, I'm with you. Can you hear me?
No, now we're hearing you.
Can you hear me
Now we're
Okay,
hearing you.
great.
Yeah.
Sorry. Okay, yeah, so what I'm saying is that the question you were asking was if someone is perchance unvaccinated and they discover they have TB, is there any hope for them, right? Did I get that?
Yes.
Okay, well, like I said, if you are in Nigeria, you're not vaccinated, I'll be very worried because we have a very robust system of vaccination. And it's one of those vaccines that we take from the first day the person is born. In fact, I know parents that will not allow you to come and visit their newborns if they have not been vaccinated. That's how strong and how successful with that particular campaign. Not vaccinated. It's not a big deal. We'll treat you. I mean, you come into the hospital to make a diagnosis and we treat. The good thing is that this treatment is free. We have very good programs for that. Totally free. The entire cost of the treatment. I mean, yes, you may have to pay some small monies for some drugs and all that, but it's free. And it's something very good that we have been able to do here because, for example, for multi-drug resistant TB, that's the senior form of TB, which happens when people don't take their drugs well, because this is a drug you take for 6 months. And the average Nigerian cannot complete anti-malaria of 3 days.
Right.
They will use it for 1 day. Once the fever is gone, they will stop.
Yeah.
So, and it's a bit like
Right.
I mean, sorry, I'm a Yoruba man, like Abidjan.
No, trust me, we know.
remember Abidjan.
From all your conversation.
If you don't kill, if you don't kill Abidjan properly, then when you shoot him and he manages to escape and come back, call it Badabo Abidjan, it can be very dangerous.
right.
And that's how
Dr.
it happens with
Opawoye.
infections. So when, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, we have to wrap up with you, but because before you came on, we had discussed bleaching the skin. And since you're an infectious disease physician, do you have an idea the dangers of skin disease or those who have used prolonged bleaching creams? Just give us an idea of what you know about this. or if there isn't any?
Thank you very much. The question is more suited to dermatology anyway.
Okay, all right.
But yeah, there are so many dangers of bleaching, but the most dangerous is probably skin cancers. Because the skin loses its natural protection from the rays of the sun, and then there's a very, very, very increased risk of skin cancer. That's a bad one. A lot of times when people have it, it's difficult to cure. It usually kills them. So it's really not worth it. Unfortunately, there are a lot of unlicensed people here and they're doing all sorts of things. So thank you for that.
Thank you very much, Dr. Opawoye. It was a pleasure having you on the show to share your thoughts, especially on tuberculosis. It was celebrated last week, Friday, and it's important that every year we remind ourselves the importance of ensuring every baby is properly vaccinated, and remind people on how to ensure they can get it quickly diagnosed. If not, it could lead to death.